Afternoon all. It's probably taken me about 5 hours for each of these to get cleaned up to the stage they are at the moment. Still needs a little bit more work on some of these little bits here. Although I've got the paint booth set up, or polishing booth set up to do a bit of sandblasting, the white paint sticking on all this cast sort of mottled surface was really hard to get off even with a sandblaster. So a lot of time has been spent with those real bits to get into the little bits and pieces with many coats of paint stripper. But they come up okay. The bars have been really easy to do. Obviously just whack them in the vise and put the wire brush on, so they were by far the easiest thing to do. So they're going to get coated as well. I did a test piece of the blue that the person selected wanted. Took it into her husband, took it home, and she said, yeah, that's exactly what she wanted. So I've had a bit more of a go clean up the last one today. Once you actually clean it all up, it's a good idea to put these things in an oven for a while. Turn the temperature sort of halfway up and let them sit there for a while to get rid of any impurities that you might have put in there, any chemicals, particularly if you've been sandblasting. So basically put them back in again, or degassed them as it were, and then set up the paint gun again and had a go at coating the first one. So I'll just show you what the first one came out like. Right, so here we go. Not come out too bad for a DIY sort of hobby kit. The problem you do get when you're doing powder coating is what's called the Faraday's effect. So in theory, if you're trying to go into little corners, because you're passing a voltage, you can effectively end up with this area where all these little bits here where the powder just won't stick. And so what I did was I actually degassed it by putting it into the oven, and took it out, let it cool down a bit, and then you rely on the fact that this is still a bit hot and the powder actually sticks to it. So it's come out quite well. There's a couple of areas where it's a little bit light, but overall I'm pretty happy with the first attempt of it all. And then just put it back in the oven, obviously, and heat it all up once you've done the powder coating. I did check it all out, but I need a bit more better light in the garage at times because there's a little bit light on one of the edges. But overall I'm pretty happy with that. It's going to be quite durable. It's obviously going to be outside for the next few years. It'll save me having to paint it every couple of years to keep looking respectable. Also did a little bit of repair on this. Is the bit that's broken before, so even though it's cast, I managed to just make a little piece up. So rather than using massive big washers, I'll just weld a little piece on here and put the hole back in there for him. So I gather the guy's got all the wood ready for it now. Obviously he's got 3 slats in the back, at least 4 on the bottom by the looks of it. And there's one long rod, which is this one. There's obviously a short rod, so they're the two. I think you've got a 2-seater and a 3-seater. So hopefully I'm going to get them, the rest of them done over the weekend, and then take them in, and hopefully I'll be happy with it. For those who can't remember, just a bit of a reminder about the oven. This is an old, effectively an old filing cabinet that someone had already built, and I've just modified it heavily. Picked it up for 40 quid. About 18 months ago, and yeah, just did a bit more work to make it a bit more efficient. So obviously cut out, I took apart an old oven, put the window in there so you can see what's going on when you need to. Lights it up inside so you can see how things are getting on. Two separate elements. Obviously you want to get the temperature up to whatever the powder meant to cure at, so it means you can adjust it. For some of the American ones require a higher temperature, but the English ones about 180 degrees. Put some insulation behind it, behind these panels, a bit like you would use in your loft to keep the heat in the house rather than going for the roof. Made some brackets up just to sit these rods on, various hooks and bits and pieces. Wheel it around wherever I need it, but it generally sits in the corner of the workshop. The original control panel still on top of it, so it works quite well. And this is a simple powder coating gun. This is quite an old one now, it's probably about 10 years old. They do an improved version now from Electrostatic Magic. Just some powder I got from them, and an air filter on the bottom, just plugged into the air line at about 10 psi. And obviously just put in the trigger whilst you're operating the foot pedal. Just passes a bit of static electricity from this part to the other part, so it sticks to it. And then you just take the part off, put it in the oven gently, warm it up, and then yeah, it's all done. So I'm going to top this up and hopefully do a bit more tomorrow.